OMG, the ZF is here and it is better than we expected. If you see the launch videos, you see there's a lot of new tech that's been coming out. Doesn't seem like many people talk about everything that's in the camera. There's some extra tech in there that we didn't expect based upon the rumors. However, there's some things in there that makes this camera excited. So I want to do a deep dive on the tech side of what we got in this camera, because new features in here that I wanted, that I think my camera should have, that we are getting, and some that I think we never expected in this level of camera. Well, to start off with, of course, we know it was going to get the X-Speed 7 processor. There's no way that Nikon was not going to put it in the camera. So what does X-Speed 7 brings? Better autofocus, and the autofocus in modes from the Z8 and the Z9. Birds, planes, cars, trains, all of that is coming to this camera. Additionally, what they're doing is something that I find that's really, really interesting, and that is pre-capture release. Didn't expect it on this camera, because we all kind of thought this camera is a low-end camera, but pre-capture release is coming in this camera as well. Dedicated black and white mode. Based upon what Nikon is saying, they've added a couple more features inside of it for different tonal ranges for both photo and videos. Of course, the switch is only going to work for photo modes. As far as I've been seeing the videos, you can just flip the switch and you do black and white in video mode. It's mainly a quick access for photo modes. Pixel shift. Now here's a new technology that some people don't think is such of a big deal. However, it's pretty big. Most of the cameras have the pixel shift features for years now. You can take anywhere from 4 up to 16 photos and you can combine them together to get your really high megapixel detailed photo. The Nikon ZF is going to give you the same thing. However, they're going up to 32 photos. Now, that's going to give you 96 megapixels, and I guess it all depends on what you're shooting. Of course, that's recommended for static shots. Product shots, landscape, where you don't have too many things moving, but you just want to capture the detail. That's great. One of the things that I talked about from the A7R5, which they did mention this camera, that camera had the feature where you could basically take a photo. If it's like a moving object inside of it, it can basically mask the rest of the movement and just capture, I guess, a one frame that looks really good and really sharp. We have to find out some more about that feature, and I'm sure as days go on, we'll probably hear more about that. But pixel shift is a great thing. You get up to 96 megapixel detailed photo. Focus point vibration reduction. This is a new feature. Typically, Nikon cameras, vibration reduction is almost like a full frame kind of thing. It, tracks what's going on in there and reduces the vibration that's inside camera. A lot of us have said in the past that when you utilize a feature, you kind of get like a slight blurring. So Nikon has gone to the next level now, and like wherever your focus point is, if you put on someone's eye or someplace in the building, wherever the focus point is in the camera, that's where it's going to adjust the vibration reduction so it keeps that area in sharper focus. That's awesome. And I'm hoping that we get this inside the Z8 and Z9 in a firmware update. Who knows? But that's something that I'd like to see. They've introduced touch control using the EVF. So basically, when you're looking through the EVF and you want to use your focus point control is no longer on the camera. I guess you could use the D-pad, because the D-pad is also an option as well. But you can utilize the screen. You can basically put your finger on the screen and move it around to get more finer detail as far as where you want to put your focus point. That is freaking awesome. You guys have probably heard me say, I want a bigger screen in the back of the camera. A lot of these controls we can take away, because now that we have touch, since the iPhone brought touch to a certain level that, most of us are carrying some kind of smartphone in our pocket. And this thing has been improved over the years that it's so darn good. Having that in a camera would be awesome. Think about it. You have only a few buttons on the back of your camera, but on the screen, you can do everything via touch. Is it time that we see maybe a 4-inch, 4.5-inch screen in the back of mirrorless cameras? I mean, Blackmagic's got a 5 screen for the past few years. I think it's time. Hopefully the Z6 III, they'll do something different and make a bigger screen back there. No, Nikon, they probably won't. Nobody else has done it yet. They don't seem to want to be the first to do things. But if they can do it in this screen and perfect it and bring it out in the Z6 III and a future camera, you have a bigger screen and more of the functionality is inside the screen. Awesome. I would freaking love that. As we're talking vibration reduction, this is something I'm excited about. 8 stops of IBIS. 8 stops. Having that capability is really good. Sometimes you're out, you don't have a tripod, you just want to do something with a slow light. Now you can capture that thing because your camera IBIS system allows you to do that. That's an awesome feature. Thank you, Nikon. That's a great thing. That's also something I'd like to come to the Z8 and Z9, but let's be honest. It's probably a mechanical thing. They probably can't do anything. Even if they tweak it with the Z8 and Z9, I don't think it's going to go to 8 stops, but hey. So here's something that caught my eye. A lot of time we hear people talk about low light sensitivity. I want better ISO for my camera so I can shoot in low light. Here is something that I didn't expect. The low light capability of this camera is pretty darn good. The ISO rating is from 100 to 64,000. That's better than any Z camera currently around. That's an awesome feature. In addition to that, -10 EV low light rating. You can take photos down to -10 EV. Most of the time we're hearing about -3, -4, -5. -10? That's almost like seeing in the dark. Now, I'm thinking with this kind of capability, are we looking at a possible similar feature close to the A7S III? They didn't really dive into a lot of these features. You know, everybody kind of got the overview. I was expecting more from the launch video like the Z8, but it was very minor. But when you see these features, you're like, oh, hang on a second. This is next level stuff. This is even better than we were expecting. And I think better than some of the other cameras out there. Now, granted, we haven't heard much about it. Many people haven't played around with it to really test all of these features. And let's be honest, the A7S III, you could do 4K 60 as well as this camera, but also does 4K 120. So this is not be quite at that level, but can we expect that the Z6 III will come out with this kind of technology and also match that camera? I'm looking at this as the harbinger of things in the future. What are we going to see from Nikon and how great things are going to be in the future? I'm hopeful, and I really hope they don't disappoint us in that area. In addition to the low light feature, there's going to be a selective low noise processing portion. So the camera is going to look at things and go, hey, we need to make some changes here, and we need to adjust the noise in the areas of the photos that matter. How awesome is that? This is saying to me, there's more AI features inside this camera than we're expected. On the video side, things look just about the same as what the Z6 II was, but with some small improvements. It can do 4K up to 30 frames per second without any crop, 4K 60 with a slight crop. But you can record 10-bit photo tool internally, which is good. You also get N-Log and HLG modes also internally. So you don't need an external recorder. Everything can be done internally to the camera. I think that's a great thing. That's an improvement above the Z6 II for sure. And it's in line of what we see as far as other cameras in this price point. On the vibration reduction side or stability side, it's 5.5 stops. And I think if you had a vibration reduction lens, that may help out. We don't have too many small lenses. You may have to go to one of those APS-C lenses to do that. And I guess that would work when you're doing 4K 60. But the only thing that we can say is at least you got some decent stability inside of it. And from some of the videos I've been seeing, it looks pretty good. So I know I shoot with my Z8. It's 5.5 stops. I walk around the street with it. To me, it was comparable to my A7R5. I want better improvements in that area. Hopefully Nikon can give us something more when it comes out to the Z6 III or future cameras that are coming in. So they also have some additional black and white modes for video, like a high tone or low tone, depends on what you want to do. They really seem to be pushing this black and white stuff on this camera. So if you like black and white, you can do it in photos, you can have more features in the video side. I think this is also something that they can probably do for the Z8 and Z9 because it's a picture profile thing. So who knows, maybe we keep looking for a 2.0 upgrade for the Z8 to give us some of these features. We'll have to wait and see. All right, for video monitoring, it has a nice flip out screen. It's 3.2 inches. It's the first full frame camera with a flip forward screen. That's a big thing. In addition to the screen, they have some monitoring features like zebras and waveforms. These are things that video people like to use. The zebras are also good for photographers, but the waveforms is something that video people like, and it's a good thing to have. No false color, but hey, that's okay. At least we got some kind of monitoring feature we can tell where your light is, if you're clipping or not. So that's a good thing to have. And I didn't expect it on this level of camera, but hey, we got it. So we can be happy about that. Something that I'm a bit annoyed with, that's the port. They've gone all the way down to a micro HDMI port. Micro, not mini, but micro. I was expecting mini, they could have fit something like that in there. But with what the camera is, I can't be too upset about it because realistically being able to do everything in camera, that's fine. You have a flip forward screen, you probably don't need to use an external recorder or anything because they mentioned nothing about any raw output, and I don't think the camera does raw. Also, power delivery port. That is something that we all need. Whether you're live streaming, whether you're recording for a long period of time, you don't have to go to dummy battery anymore. You can just plug the power delivery battery inside of it, and you can run for the 2 hours and 5 minutes that you're supposed to be able to record with this camera. And of course, even though they said 2 hours and 5 minutes, we always have to keep in mind that it depends on where you are recording and how high the temperature is. But the limit is 205, just like the Z8 and Z9. So that's also a pretty good thing. Getting pixel shift for the first time in a Nikon camera, improved touch focus. These are things that we never expected, and we never had, and now we're gonna get them in a Nikon camera. So I'm happy with that. So all in all, this camera is a fantastic camera. I think it's a preview of what we can expect coming in the Z6 III. The IBIS functionality is great. Low light capability, more improved. The detection range went down to minus EV10 for autofocus. I mean, come on, that's like almost sitting in the dark kind of thing. Those of us with a Z8 and Z9 may say, hey, this is a bit much for this kind of camera, but let's be honest, autofocus is how the camera sees, and especially today with video, that should not be compromised in any way. That should be standard across everybody. It shouldn't be the same like the old days when they would like top camera have the top specs, or they kind of boom, 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 knock it off for the lower cameras. No. Autofocus should be great across all the cameras that they have out there. I've studied in multiple videos. Sony's proven it. Panasonic and others guys are coming out with the same thing as well. The autofocus needs to be great on every camera that they have coming out. The features now that people are looking forward to is video specs. And photographers probably don't think about this stuff, but video is the new thing. This is what differentiates your camera from your competition. And this is why it's important. If your autofocus is great in all your cameras, now it's whether you have 4K 60, 120, 6K, 8K, internal RAW, all of that. Those are the next level stuff that's coming to cameras. So for me, I'm happy with all the features that's coming in here from the XP7. I think it's great. I hope all the cameras that come out in the future have the XP7 or something newer. If they come out with a Z9 too, we can look for even better performance down the road. But for now, based upon how the XP7 has been, it should go on all Nikon camera, all the way down to the Z50, ZFC 2, and you know that the performance is going to be great. Oh, there's one thing that I almost forgot. The memory cards. Yes, it is SD and micro SD. Now, we may not like that, but let's be honest. For 4K 30, 4K 60 video, an SD card can handle it. The right speed is more than sufficient. You can do it also on a micro SD. I've been seeing micro SD out on the market with V90 rating. So it doesn't mean that you can't handle it. Technology is getting better and better over time. And to keep the weight down and the heat down in the body, I don't think it's a bad thing. I was hoping for 4K 120 and a surprise that would kind of throw that in there, maybe like an additional crop like my FX30. We didn't get that, but I think that's something that may do in the future firmware update. Who knows? but 4K 60 is good. And again, guys, price point. My FX30 was $17.99 without the handle. If you remember, I did a video when I said Nikon was pushing back on this camera release based on what Sony's putting out. On the US site, it has two different prices. One section it says $19.99, it says pre-order for $20.99. So that tells me they probably wanted to push the price a bit higher. But after seeing the features that Sony came out with, they couldn't push it to that price, so they could drop the price down a bit. Anyhow, look for that new video and I'll talk more about that and all the features and how it compares to Sony. If you're interested in buying the camera, I'll have links soon for the camera. But any of the things that you're looking for, check the description area, click on the links, go buy some tech gear. Memory prices are coming down. I need to mention this. I haven't seen memory price coming down. So check the links and go out there and pick up some memory for your camera. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.